Okay, everybody. In this lab, we are going to take these two different images. One is of a road in Death Valley. The other one is of a galaxy, and we're going to combine them so they look something like this, right? So that the galaxy looks like it's the horizon in the sky to the desert road, okay? This is primarily going to be a project where we're focusing on layer masks. And then other tools as well, and we'll be labeling our layers so we can kind of see what we did as we went. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is to make the galaxy image a layer in the the Death Valley image. So there's a couple different ways I can do this. I can right click on this layer. I already unlocked this one as a background layer. And then I can say duplicate layer, and I can say, let's say galaxy layer. And then I'm going to say destination. So this says destination. Where am I going to put this duplicate layer? I'm going to put it in the Death Valley image. Okay, so I hit OK, and now you notice if I tab over to my Death Valley, it's placed and it's a layer down here as well. Okay. The other thing you can do that might be easier is you can just hit Command C in Galaxy, make sure everything is selected, of course, and then Command V. And this is not the placement that we're going to use, but at least we have it them both in the same place, and it's listed as an additional layer. So I'm going to go ahead and rename this Galaxy layer. I'm going to unlock this background layer. I'm going to name this layer Desert Road. Okay. Okay, so before we start working with this galaxy layer, we want to make sure that we're working with it non-destructively. So we've been talking about this in class. We don't want to do things to it that can't be undone, right? And you may not know this, but when I transform things like this, okay, I'm actually affecting the resolution, and if I don't take my precautions, it will permanently affect the resolution in a bad way, because when you make something smaller or bigger, you can see that the resolution isn't as good because it's bigger to look at. So the thing that I need to do to make sure that I can always go back from that is I'm going to, you guessed it, convert it to a smart object. I'm going to right click on this layer, and I'm going to go to convert to smart object, right? And we see our little icon get there, and now we know we can alter this and still return to the original. So now I'm going to drag this up into the top left, and I'm going to kind of, if I, let's see, I need to hold down shift. If I don't hold down shift, I can accidentally stretch this picture, and I want to hold on to the original proportions. So as I hold down shift, it makes sure that the width and the height stay the way they're supposed to be, okay? And so I'm just going to leave that way for now, and I'm going to click the check mark up here, or I can just hit enter. Okay, and so that kind of commits to this change here. All right. Let's see. Now what I want to do is I want to take the layer in the layers panel, right? And I'm going to put it under the desert road layer, right? And so now it's completely hidden by the desert road layer, but not for long, okay? Okay, so there are two methods to creating the type of layer mask that we want to have here. The first one, you make the selection first and then create the layer mask, and the second one, you create the layer mask and then make the selection. So I'm going to show you them both, and you should try them both so you know how to do it both ways. Okay, so the first thing is I'm going to make sure I'm selected on the desert road layer. I'm going to use the marquee, the rectangular marquee tool up here. Remember our old friend rectangular marquee? I'm going to click on the corner of my image. I'm going to go to just kind of below, just a little bit below the horizon line. Okay, and I'm going to make sure that my feathering is set to 2 pixels because I want the edges to be a little softer than completely hard when I replace this with the sky. And remember that the galaxy layer is still hiding underneath. We just can't see it yet. So now I have the selection. I'm going to go up to the layer menu, and I'm going to go to layer mask, and I'm going to say hide selection. And then there we go, right? So we have the Photoshop masked out the portion of the layer that we selected with the marquee selection tool and hid it, revealing the galaxy layer beneath it. So once again, if you look at the layer mask thumbnail for the layer mask we just created, black conceals and white reveals. So if we're, looking at this layer, the black part is gone, it's concealed, which was the sky, and the white part is still revealed, which is the road, okay? And underneath that is the galaxy layer, so that's what we see when the top layer of the top layer, the top half of the top layer is hidden, okay? Okay, method 2. Okay, so for this method to work correctly, we want to make sure that the layer mask thumbnail is selected here, just like this, so it's all in white. See what I got there? And then I'm going to go and once again choose my friendly rectangular marquee tool. I'm going to click in the same way, right, starting from the top left, going to the edge of the image, and a little below the horizon line, right there. Okay, so same type of selection. I'm creating this in a slightly different way. This time, I'm going to go to the edit menu, and I'm going to go to fill, and I'm going to do contents black, because remember, black conceals and white reveals. So it's literally the color black. Photoshop experiences this as a wiping away of the layer, right? So I hit OK. Same kind of result. I just want to show you, let's say that I wanted to reveal this layer beneath this layer using a much more manual painted on mask. To do that, I can select my brush tool, right? And this is the width that I have right now, right? If I select the color black and hit OK, right? Notice what happens if I paint here. It's not going to paint the color black. It's going to paint the revealing of the layer beneath it. So this is once we get to the unit where we're making composite images and trying to make like impossible looking scenes, this is a very common technique so that you can draw around edges to reveal layers underneath, right? This is a way for me to manually paint in how I want the layer underneath to be revealed, okay? So we're gonna undo that for now because that's not what we're focusing on. We are just gonna return to image, fill, edit, fill with black, and I'm gonna hit OK, and we've got our layer mask just the way we want it to be, okay? So I'm gonna hit Command D for deselect. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to color correct the road a little bit to match the sky, okay? Because the sky is very red and the road has some red in it, but we're going to try to fix that up a bit, so we're doing some color correction. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an adjustment layer. I'm going to make it a hue saturation adjustment layer. I'm going to, in this case, I'm going to go to preset. Nope, sorry. The type of colors that I'm choosing from is going to be reds, and I'm going to increase the saturation to about 28. Okay, and if you notice, that made the road a lot more red. So I'm going to turn that on and off for you here. Now, the thing that happened here is that it applied the color correction to the entire image. And since we were trying to make the bottom be more red to match the sky, we don't want to make the sky more red in the same process. So there is a handy dandy way to fix this, right? I am going to hold down Shift on the adjustment layer with the road layer, right? And then I'm going to right click on these guys and I'm going to call it new group from layers. And and then I'm going to call this saturate reds in Death Valley. And group that together, okay? And now what I want to do is I'm going to change the blending mode here, which is pass through. Pass through means that this adjustment layer is going to pass through the desert road that's in its group and go straight to galaxy. But if we change this to normal, did you see what happened there? The sky got a little less red again because that adjustment layer is only applying to the other layer in its group. Okay, so these are groups. And let's call this layer saturate reds of road. Okay, so let's take a look at that before and after, right? Oops, that's the layer. The adjustment layer looks like this. So the road is quite a bit more red after we added that adjustment layer, and now we're not applying it to the sky. All right, what do we do next? Okay, so the next thing we want to do in this is we want to pick a color in here. We want to pick out the yellow, and we want to pull it out a little bit. We want to exaggerate the yellow. So this is how we're going to do that. We are going to click on the galaxy layer, okay, and then we're going to make an adjustment layer. This one's called a photo filter. We haven't used this one before. Okay, here is the properties for the photo filter. I've spent a few times that I edited out of this video trying to do this and messing it up. And the thing that I was messing up was the layer mask can't be selected here, right? We want to deselect the layer mask and actually select the photo filter element there. So this defaults to a warming filter, which means if I turn this up, it's going to warm up all the colors. I'm not going to do that though. I'm going to pick a specific color. So we're going to go here, and this the little icon turns into a dropper here. I'm going to pick out that yellow. Okay. I'm going to increase the density slider to about 34, right? And there is our yellow filter. Okay, so I'm going to call this adjustment layer yellow photo filter. And let's take a look at it without it and with it and without it, right? So it brings out the yellow in the middle. Okay. Okay, we have a few more steps before we're done with this particular lab. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create an adjustment layer to increase the overall contrast of the image. And I want to make sure that this adjustment layer goes over top of everything. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to use a curves adjustment layer. Okay, and now that's on top of everything, and I'm going to quickly label it increase overall contrast. Okay, so when you're looking at the properties panel for a curves adjustment layer, you're looking at kind of a readout from dark on this side to bright on this side, right? And so you can see there's a lot of darkness in that side of the image and not so much brightness. So one of the key ways to increase contrast in an image like this is to boost to take down the shadows and to boost the highlights. So I'm kind of annoyed with the way that worked here. I'm actually going to reset my workspace because this happens. So I'm going to go to Window, Workspace, Reset Essentials. And then I'm going to pull off this Properties panel, and I'm going to put it here. Okay, so I'm going to pull down the shadows, right? Just a little bit. This intersection point, right? I pull down the shadows, and I'm going to bring up the highlights, okay? So something like that. And now if I A-B this increase overall contrast, I undid it, so I have to relabel it. Curves adjustment filter, if I click on the visibility toggle, you can see it looks quite a bit more flat without what I just did, and it makes it look kind of higher contrast and more dramatic with the curves adjustment layer that I put in there. Okay, so I'm going to leave that in there. I'm going to get rid of that for now. I'm going to actually reset my workspace to Essentials one more time. One of the last things what we're going to do here is make a vignette. So I'm going to start with my elliptical marquee tool over here. I'm going to make a elliptical shaped selection somewhere in the middle. I'm kind of making the right size, and then I'm moving it. Right, and Photoshop will help you with that little pink guide just a little bit. Okay, so now once again, I'm going to go down to the bottom here. I'm going to make an adjustment layer, a curves adjustment layer to darken the corners, right? So I just want to illustrate something for you here. If we grab the middle of this curves adjustment layer, curve, and we drag it downward, right, the middle is getting darker, right? So let's say that I do want it to get darker, but I want it to be the corners, right? And I don't want to have to go back and reselect things. So when we're doing this adjustment layers with layer masks, in the properties panel on the left-hand side, we have the properties of the adjustment layer. And then on the right-hand side here, we have the properties of the mask itself. So I'm clicking over here. And what I want to do now is I want to invert the mask, right? So I'm going to flip it around, right? And now the inside is brighter and the outside is darker. I'm going to turn the feathering up to, I don't know, 44. What do you like? Somewhere around 44. Right, so that gives us a nice clear vignette there. Okay. Sorry, I'm crazy with my zooming today, and crazy with everything in general. Okay, I should label this layer vignette. And then the last thing I want to do is crop this image so that it's 5x7. So I'm going to click on the crop tool. I'm going to go to width and height. I'm going to make sure it's 7 inches wide and 5 inches tall, which is what I've got here. I'm going to make sure that delete cropped pixels is unchecked. And I'm going to go ahead and commit to this by hitting enter. Enter. And there we go. So I can do Command 0, and now I have the 7 by 5 inches selection, and I can check that by going to image size, and the width is 7, the height is 5. I'm going to hit OK. Now to make sure we turn this in correctly, let's go up to File, Save As, and I'm going to say my last name, right, and then underscore first letter of my initial, and then underscore, and then Desert Road Lab. Okay, make sure you save it in your folder. I'm not going to do it because I have so many copies of these that it's confusing, but that's what you turn in. Okay, and we're done. Thanks. Bye.